I'm Andrea.
I'm Alexa.
And welcome to As You Are.
In today's episode, we're talking about the 7 female archetypes. I'm very excited about this. I think it's something that all women should be exposed to and aware of.
Yeah, I'm excited too, especially because I know not much about this. Honestly, almost close to nothing. So it's good that you are the leader of this conversation, and I'm sure I'm going to be on the side of listeners that are interested into knowing more about this.
Yeah, so for everyone that's listening, Andrea knows nothing about what I'm about to say, like in terms, she doesn't even know the structure that I'm going to go with.
It's a surprise for me too, people.
Yeah, it's a surprise for you. So I'm excited about it. So I'll just start by explaining what are archetypes.
Okay.
And archetypes are basically, there's like as old as time. They were found in storytelling, like even cavemen, like drawing symbols on the walls and all of that. They basically represent, I don't want to say stereotypes, but a set of patterns and behaviors that certain characters hold, and that is repeated like in myths and like stories and tales just throughout time. And it transcends cultures and it transcends languages. It's kind of like a common, I would say, pattern among humans. Yeah. So it's interesting when I was reading up about archetypes, it's really interesting that it's something that has been around and that more and more it's like modern, there are more modern interpretations of it. So there's a psychologist called Carl Jung, and he was one of the ones that made it popular in psychology, the term archetypes. And he basically believed in something called the collective unconscious.
The collective unconscious.
The collective unconscious. I learned about this word very recently, just like doing research for what to talk about today. And it's very fascinating because he was saying how the collective unconscious is basically things, the unconscious part of the human brain that is not learned. It's kind of like he, through analyzing different patients, saw that across different languages, across different cultures, across different like generations, that there are certain patterns that just repeat and that humans are not necessarily taught. It's just part of our unconscious. So he believes that there's like a collection of memories and behaviors that is just stored like as a collective unconscious. So the archetypes, he believed to be part of that as well. So I'm just mentioning him now because he did a lot of work with archetypes. So if ever there's someone that's interested in the psychology of it, I definitely suggest looking into Carl Jung. But today we're focusing on the main, because there are many, many archetypes. And
many.
Yeah, many. And I think they'll be called different things as well, depending on what your source is. Like depending on the source. Like, for example, if it's like a Greek mythology story versus an Egyptian story, maybe they'll have different names, but they still symbolize kind of the same, basically the same character, but maybe called a different way, and maybe there are slight nuances.
Okay.
But ultimately, it's the same thing.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about the 7 main female expressions today.
So exciting.
And I've made cards for us.
Cards?
Yes.
What? Where are they?
They're here.
What?
Okay.
Wait.
So I've made cards.
Where do you have that all this time? Like we've been talking for like 2 hours before.
When you went away,
Girl.
So this is your...
Great. Look at this. Look at this.
That's your set. This is my set.
Okay, cool.
So we have the 7 archetypes.
Can I see?
Here. Yeah.
Or is it a surprise?
No,
because I see you have notes.
I have notes on the back of mine.
Hers have notes. Mine is blank. What?
So I basically associated each archetype with an emoji.
Okay.
That way our listeners and viewers can participate along with us. And as we're talking, if you feel like there's one in particular that you relate a lot to, drop us a comment with the emoji that you feel relates to you the most.
I love this. Wow, this is so cool.
Just so you know, archetypes are different from stereotypes in that I would say for an archetype, you don't have to be either or. And actually, I think I would encourage women to embrace various different parts of each archetype because each of them is useful in a way and can help you grow out of your comfort zone and develop into a more balanced individual.
Okay. It's like use them at different points of your life?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll go through each of them, but I'll just say mainly which ones we have here. So the Maiden, which is cherry blossom flower, pink. The Huntress, which I symbolize as the bow and arrow. The Lover, a rose.
A rose.
The Mother, the earth. The Queen, of course, a crown.
Of course.
The Mystic, a crystal ball. And the Sage, an owl.
Why didn't you pick a leaf?
Because it represents wisdom. Like sage is the energy of wisdom, intellect, and it's kind of like older, wise women, you know?
Okay. What?
And the owl just gives that vibe.
Okay. I was being carried away because of the name.
The sage? Yeah, sage.
Leaf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go through each of them now. And we'll start with the Maiden. There is a reason why I put them in this particular order. It's just because for me and my brain, it's easier to see it as like a progression of energy. But it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It doesn't mean that, one is superior and one is less, one is more. All of them are as valid as the other. And I would encourage our listeners, as you're hearing what I'm saying, you'll definitely have ones that you relate to. And you might see that you relate to like a bunch of them, if not all of them, which is great. But if not, you might relate to only like one or two of them.
Did you feel that way when putting these out, like the 7 archetypes and like reading more about it? Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I feel there are definitely 2 that I feel a little bit more disconnected from.
Okay.
But I feel I connect to a lot of them. And one thing that I wanted to say is, if ever there is something that I'm saying in one of them that kind of turns you off and you're like, oh, no, that's not me, I would actually look into it a little bit more and understand why you're having that reaction and what is making you feel so retracted from that type of, from that archetype.
That rejection.
Yeah, like what is causing that rejection?
Okay.
So look inward, guys, as I'm talking. Think about yourself. Think about people you know. Like who represents that type of person in your life mainly? Most people will have at least 1 or 2 that are very like prominent.
Okay.
So the Maiden is, think of it as youth. That's like your inner child. It's all about curiosity. And I've put here, if it leads either from the heart or from the mind. And this is something that I've been trying to, for myself, identify areas in my life where I lead with my heart or lead with my mind. I think we've spoken about this before. So the Maiden leads fully with the heart. She's not in the mind at all. Okay. She's carefree. She is like taken care of. Yeah, she's the daughter. Okay. So she has people that are taking care of the responsible stuff for her. Like all her needs are met. So she's curious. She loves to travel. She loves new experiences. Now, on the flip side, that can make her a little bit naive. And she might be, a little bit gullible. And she might also be a little bit codependent.
No, I was going to say that.
Because
like dependent,
Yeah, dependent on someone. And she might look for others as a big source of validation for her. So I would say the Maiden, don't just think about people that, I know people that are much older than I am that really fit the characteristic of a Maiden. So it's not that you have to be young.
Yeah, no.
It's just that you embody like a certain type of energy that the Maiden has. So
yeah, it's like that mentality where you have that curiosity and
just youth and
you don't feel that you have that many responsibilities.
Yeah, I think that's a very important part of the Maiden. She'll only feel comfortable if she feels safe, if her needs are met, if she feels like she has her basic like food, shelter, all of that is set, and then she can then go explore. A Maiden is usually someone, let's say, that grows up with very stable parents and she had her needs met practically all of the time.
Like she never had to worry about.
She never had to worry too much about things. So that's why I'm saying she's never really in her mind. She's really going with the flow of the universe with her heart.
Okay.
So that can make her also sometimes attract, I don't want to call it predators, but, or maybe sometimes dark intentioned people because they see their naivety as, they see them like a prey almost.
Yeah.
So the character of the Maiden is usually seen in like fairy tales. So all the princesses, a lot of them are maidens, like the damsel in distress, like living in a fairy tale world and waiting for the prince to come and save her, and you know. So I would say even like, for example, Princess Diana, she's a really good example of a maiden. I don't know if you watched The Crown.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Through watching The Crown, I understood her, like her personality a little bit more. But in that show, you can see her progression from being a maiden into developing into the mother. So it's also archetypes. It'll reflect also different periods of your life. Like for me, definitely in high school, I identified with other archetypes than the ones I identify with today.
For sure. Yeah. Because we evolve and we change in that.
Yeah. And then I might go back to the ones that I had in high school. Just, you know, it's like just different depending on where you are in your life. And then another good example that I thought of as maiden is Serena Vanderwoodson from Gossip Girl.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's a good example of maiden and lover mixed into one.
Okay.
She's very youthful, very naive, but then very seductive and very, you know.
Okay.
So that's like a good mixture, I would say, of maiden and lover. So that was Maiden.
Wow. Interesting. It's a good way how to explain it because I can immediately think about people and think about like comparing to myself too. I'm trying to find what archetype I'm in. So it's a great example of like someone naive and like free flowing and just like wonderful about like life.
Yeah. She's like always giggling, always just happy, positive, like that type of person.
Yes.
Okay. So the Huntress. I think it's like, it says it in the name. They're very strong women that have a sense of purpose and they go after something in life and they're very focused. They're very independent. So compared to the maiden who kind of needs support in order to feel safe, the Huntress is her own support. And even to the opposite, she might even go to a point, I would say, let's say the shadow side of the Huntress personality is that she might not allow others to help her even. So it's kind of like an interesting contrast between maiden and Huntress.
It's like those type of people who never ask for favors. They rather do them themselves.
Exactly. They rather do it themselves, but they're very independent and just effective and they just go after what they want and they'll usually get it.
Okay.
And I put here that they lead both with their heart and with their mind. I say heart because their purpose is usually very strongly related to like a heart, soul desire, what they're after. And then mind, because they're very strategic and plan oriented to get to their goals. So in a way, I would say it's the one that is the most masculine, that has the most like masculine energy to it. And I've said this before in an episode that for me, I always relate arrows in direction with masculinity. It's like going straight forward, whereas the maiden is complete feminine, like going in spiral and circling and free flowing, whereas the Huntress is a lot more masculine.
It's like what we've talked about in previous episodes. So it's like when you truly want something, it's like deep down you connect with yourself. It's like heart and mind, what you're saying.
Yes.
They truly want it, so they go after it.
Yes. It's like heart and mind is aligned and then just
yeah.
So another thing that I would say in contrast between the maiden and the Huntress is that the Huntress is not easy to trust people. Whereas
I could tell.
I could tell she doesn't trust people. Whereas the maiden will literally trust anyone that walks by. The Huntress will be...
The maiden, it's like, I trust you from the beginning versus the Huntress, it's like, I need to understand. The trust starts from 0 and then it builds up.
Exactly.
Versus the mating, it's started from 100.
Yeah. Exactly. So that type of female energy is usually found in action movies. So it's like usually the main, character, like the action movie, very strong woman that has a goal and that goes for it. And I thought about Katniss in the Hunger Games. I don't know if you've seen the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Like that's a good example, I would say, of a huntress. Have you seen Dune?
No.
So the character that Zendaya plays in Dune is very
Huntress.
huntress as well.
Or Wonder Woman.
Or Wonder Woman, yeah. Now, I think another side to them is that they'll never really show vulnerability. So they might have trouble connecting with their emotions and showing vulnerability, really.
Yeah, it's like they're very strong and
exactly, and they always have to show strength and
like an armor.
Yeah,
they have like an armor.
The lover. I think the lover, it's probably the archetype that is the most represented for, or it has been in the past, the most represented for women in mainstream media. Just the highly sexualized and sensual version of who a woman is, like pleases to men and like that type of version, which there's aspects of that in the lover, but the lover is so much more capable than I think most people would give credit to. So the lover obviously leads with the heart. Her whole purpose is to share love. And she embodies connection and creation. So obviously connection, she lives for connection with people. She loves to be social, communicate, and seduce, and she's very magnetic. So she's that woman that she'll like catch your attention when you walk in a room, like very seductive, but doesn't always have to be super, I would say, sexy.
Yeah.
Because it could also be lover in a way that's more romantic and in a way that she even allows space to love her own self. So when you think about love energy as well, it's also an energy of creation. So for example, her instinct will be procreation. And it's like, that's why I would say that archetype is usually associated with the act of sex.
Right.
But it can be a lot deeper than that. So I just wanted to point out like that nuance. So I think it's definitely an archetype that is misunderstood, but that has a lot of power. And she's connected to everything that's beauty and art. So super creative. And I would say like the shadow side of this archetype is that she could be overly emotional at times and depend on others as well in relationships for self-validation and
so this
is like
archetype is very emotional.
I would say probably the most emotional archetypes would be the maiden and the lover.
Okay.
And she might also have issues with setting boundaries, the lover, because it's more like, I don't know, kind of like a people-pleasing, but she wants to share love, but sometimes it might be unhealthy like attachments that she builds for herself.
Right.
So this is the archetype that you'll see a lot in like commercials. So selling perfume or selling jewelry. It's like the seductive woman that's trying to sell you something, And also in everything that's romance, like romance novels or...
Of course.
Yeah, you'll see the lover archetype. And two good examples that I thought of were Samantha in Sex and the City.
Okay.
She is like a mix between lover and queen. So we haven't talked about queen yet.
No.
But it's just to tell you, in contrast with, for example, Marilyn Monroe, she's more of a lover and a maiden. So also, depending on which one is more prominent, it's like you mix it into a sauce that'll give like a different taste. It's same ingredients, but it'll be a different taste. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like different percentages of the same ingredients, so it'll taste different.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, interesting.
So that was the lover. Now we have the mother. The mother also leads very much so with the heart. I put a picture of the earth because the mother is all about nurture and protection, and she's usually like very humanitarian, wants to help people around her. Obviously, the mother is usually attached to a family. So when I say nurture, it's like obviously children, and she wants to protect the youth, but it could also be that she wants to look out for the world and for humanity as a whole. So the mother it's like usually that person who'd be like the mom of the group. Like she's always prepared. She always has everything ready. She'll be like the designated driver. She's very responsible.
Yeah, the one that takes care of everyone.
The one that takes care of everyone. She's always there for advice. She's always there if you need like a shoulder to cry on. Like,
Okay.
that's the mother.
That's a great example. I can see a lot of people relating to that. Like there's a mom in the group. There's like the crazy of the group. Like there's always like you have that friend. So I think the mother is a great example of like that friend who loves to take care of people.
Yes. And I would say the shadow side is self-sacrifice. She'll give of herself so much to an extent that she forgets her own needs, and she'll prioritize others over herself. So it's kind of similar to the lover, where she might have issues with setting boundaries or, you know, prioritizing herself and just putting others before her. Yeah. And also in terms of similarities with the lover is that they both have an instinct to procreate, but the lover is more about, let's say, getting to the procreation, but the mother is more then after procreating, nurturing and protecting, you know?
Yeah.
And the mother is also very magnetic, but more of like a earthy magnetism, whereas the lover is more, it could be different types of energy. The lover could be like more of like an erotic, like sexy magnetism, or it could just be a loving like she just shares love and connection, and that's like very magnetic. But for the mother, it could also be love and connection, but it's more earthy. Yeah. It's more like warm.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. It's like that a different type of love. It's not nothing related to romance or anything. It's just like
you just feel comfortable at ease. It's warm like love. You're okay. Like you know you're safe. You know? The mother makes you feel safe.
Exactly.
So the type, I would say like nurses and teachers, like those are usually women that really embody like the mother archetype. Obviously you don't have to be a nurse or a teacher to relate to the mother,
but it's a good example
of people that like to care for others. And an example that I had was Mother Teresa, who she's like big humanitarian, won a Nobel Peace Prize for, you know, all of the nonprofit work that she had been doing in the world. So that's like, I would say the epitome of who the mother can be. Next we have the queen. For the queen, I don't consider myself a queen, but I know of so many women in my life that I could tell like, yeah, this person is a queen. Like, I think queens are so easy for me to pinpoint. Really? And you'll tell me what you think.
Okay.
So I put here the queen leads with both the heart and the mind.
Okay.
Because I feel like the queen is very balanced in terms of her intellect, but also being warm enough to lead people and to lead a family and she's very respected. And she's very liked by people. She's very social. And people might even envy her to a point where her life might almost seem perfect. It's like everything is always put together. Her hair is always put together. Her clothes. She might like the finer things in life. She likes accessorized jewelry. She likes to look fresh, smell fresh. And she is a very, very loyal person. So she'll stand by her husband till like ride or die type of person.
Okay.
And for her family, it's like, I don't know if you've seen in movies where it's like, let's say the mother has a son that did something wrong and is in jail. She doesn't care what the son did. She's paying for the son to get out of jail. It's like that kind of like loyalty in terms of, I don't care what you did. Like, we're getting you out of this situation because you're my son, you know?
Yeah. It's like not overprotective, but it's like if you're one of my people, it's like I got you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she looks out for people, but also in a way she looks out a lot for herself as well. So it's an interesting mix between being independent, but also she kind of relies on her family as kind of like her purpose really in life. Like a queen needs to rule.
Right.
So she needs people
to rule.
So it's interesting because she is independent, but she does need people.
It's like she's independent, but she depends on people to be able to rule.
Yeah. She depends on people to be independent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So she's very confident, very powerful. And she's the type of person in high school that would probably always have a boyfriend. Like she just likes to be the, I don't know.
The alpha?
I don't know if it's like the alpha woman. Yeah, she's definitely an alpha woman for sure. And in terms of like things that would be considered more of like her shadow side is that she might be too controlling and sometimes too attached to outcomes and power and status. And she might even be too critical of herself and of other people. So you can think about that mom, for example, that wants her kids to go to a certain college, you know?
Yeah,
that's
I know.
The queen. It's
like, yeah,
she expects a standard.
Yeah, she has a standard.
She has a standard. And so she can be very controlling and critical. And even of herself, like she'll hold herself to a very high standard.
Yeah,
because she always has to be perfect.
It's like, it sounds also like a perfectionist type of person that when something doesn't come out the way that they wanted, it's like, oh no, like it didn't work out at all. You know? And
I would say that's probably the part of like this archetype that like the most pronounced. Like we said, for the lover, it's like the most pronounced is being very sexualized. I would say for the queen, the most pronounced would be that she's a crazy perfectionist freak that is like super control. And that type is usually like the first lady or celebrities. Like they kind of like attention, but in a very subtle way. And they're also very magnetic and they have a lot of presence to them. They're very elegant. I don't know. It's like they just have that aura to them that people want to look at them and they're interested in what goes on in her life.
Exactly.
So examples of that, the first one that I thought about was Blair from Gossip Girl.
You had Gossip Girl in your mind.
Because they did such a good job with having
like very like strong personalities.
Very set. Yeah.
Very set.
Like characters that are like so well defined. But also, I don't know why it's like so top of mind. I also think that as I was watching, like as I was doing research into it, there are people that had mentioned Gossip Girl. So I think that's why it's so like fresh in my mind. But I think that Blair is a really good example of a queen. And she's a mix between a queen and a lover as well. She's also, there's a side of her that's very seductive. But she also has Huntress kind of mixed into her because she's also very independent and knows what she wants, you know?
Yeah.
So I think Blair is a very interesting character in Gossip Girl. But also, like, example of a queen celebrity, Beyonce. I mean, that's like the obvious like queen. Yeah, so that was queen. Next one is the mystic. We are at the sixth one. So then we have the last one, which is sage. The mystic is very intuitive and spiritual. So she leads a lot with her heart. She's intuitive. So she follows her gut. She doesn't really rely on others to understand who she is. She's very introspective. So she looks inward. And she is an introvert. She likes to spend time by herself, figuring herself out. And she prioritizes inner peace and tranquility. And she's not too bothered by the outside world. And she's just very grounded.
She's not worried about like connection within.
Yeah, with herself. Like if she loses connection with herself, that's when she like loses sight of like where she is in life. So she always looks for deep meaning, like the deeper meaning behind things in life. And it's the simple answers are like usually not enough.
Okay.
Like she'll want to understand, but why? You know?
Right. And I guess this archetype craves like deeper connection with people.
I would say probably the main focus is really deeper connection with the self. But she's an introvert. But I would say this. If she has a connection with other people, she would rather it be deep than superficial.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
She will not entertain superficial friendship.
Makes sense.
Like she's very natural and grounded. And the queen and the mystic are two archetypes that are usually very...
opposites?
Like kind of opposites. Because the queen is more elegant. She has standards. She expects certain things from her surrounding status. She's really in society. She likes societal norms. Whereas the mystic is not concerned about that. She's concerned about inside. She's concerned about the meaning of things. It's like, it doesn't matter how it looks. It just matters how it feels.
It feels, yeah.
So I would say the people that identify as a queen might have a hard time connecting with their spirituality. They might have a hard time with their intuition because they're very more like in the material world, whereas the mystic is more in the metaphysical spiritual world.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's like the queen doesn't believe in the whole system, like ecosystem, the mystic.
The mystic, yeah.
Has, you know, it's like completely two different ideologies.
Yeah, it's very different. But I do believe that, I mean, obviously, I think it's possible to embrace both.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I agree.
Yes, very.
But if you have to, like, they're very contrasting. So it's like when you compare them, it's like, it sounds like they're two completely different people.
Yes. Like, you could stereotype a lot of people into these two boxes.
Totally. It's like, as we were talking, like, different percentages, higher percentages are like super contrasting, but it's not like you cannot have both. It's just like you would have like a lot more of one of the other.
Yes.
These two.
Like if you're both a queen and a mystic, it's probably not equal parts.
Exactly.
You know? It's like, one
more
takes,
unbalanced. Yeah.
So the mystic, she overcomes the dependency that the queen and the mother have. And she overcomes how impulsive a maiden can be because she's very grounded in her emotions too. She's emotionally intelligent. So she's just grounded in the present and is not dependent and is not impulsive. Now, her shadow side is that she might be too absorbed in the spiritual and she might overthink the meaning of things.
And I can see that happening.
Like, just, overthink, why is this, but why
going
is that?
On a spiral.
And then let herself spiral into her inner world because she's very introvert and introspective. So she might be too stuck in her head. So I guess I would say whenever her mind gets in the way of her heart's journey, then she can get a little lost because then her mind starts to overthink what her heart is telling her. So there might be some conflict there. This archetype seems to be very like underrepresented for women. It's not usually the typical woman that you see in an action movie or a romance movie or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're usually very subtle characters that you don't really pay attention to all that much. In the sense that I couldn't even think of like a mainstream person or character that I would really consider a mystic. I know of many mystic women in my life, but that they're not obviously not famous or mainstream to where I could say it and everyone sees what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because it sounds like from what you're saying, the mystic, it's more like on the background. It's not the main character.
Exactly.
It's more like what's the opposite of main character? It's like the background.
How do you call that?
Well, it's not the main character. It's just like someone, like an extra. Yeah, it's like an extra in stories. Yeah, just because like she's more like low profile, more introverted, more shy, maybe.
And she prefers it that way.
Yeah, it's not like she's fighting against it. It's just like
that's personality. Just happens to be like who she is. So I can't really give you a good example. I know of good examples in my life.
Yeah,
but,
same.
So that's the mystic. Now, the sage is very in the mind. I would say that's probably the energy that is the most intellectual, and it's all about wisdom and seeking truth, and it's all about knowledge, all about having the facts. And the sage is also very strategic. So you'll see the sage associated a lot with powerful masculine figures because she'll be that person in the movie that helps strategize a war. And she has a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's also very intuitive. So she brings that like feminine perspective to a strategy plan that powerful men seek that different type of approach to where she sees a detail that they would have never been able to see. So her shadow side is that she can be too intellectual and be seen as like very cold and not very relatable. And she also might have difficulty connecting with her emotions and her sexuality. So we talked about the queen and the mystic being like kind of opposite. I would say the sage and the lover are also kind of opposite because for a person to be so intellectual but then so loving and sensual.
Yeah, it doesn't go hand in hand.
Like very far from each other.
And here in the notes, you have the lover leads with the heart and the sage completely leads with the mind. So it's not, some of them lead with both. In this are two complete opposites.
Yeah.
One is the heart and one is
the
mind.
one that leads the most with the heart is the lover. The one that leads the most with the mind is the sage. So yeah, I would say they're very opposite. But this is someone that might, for example, have trouble even connecting with their partner. Like when they're having sex, they're probably thinking about work. That type of person, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And this is a type that you'll see like news anchors, for example, are very intellectual, sage, and some news anchors I would say can also have aspects of seduction to them though. So I would say they could probably be an interesting blend between knowledge but lover, like seduction at the same time. But I would say probably true representations of like sage at like the fullest extent would probably be in politics. So like a first lady, for example, because there are a lot of first ladies that will even make a president. Like they really help the president stand out just because of the woman that he's with. There's like a lot of cases that it's been that way for at least like American presidents. And so, yeah, they're kind of like an advisor. And they're very...
Advisor, I think it's like the best word to describe it because it doesn't sound like it's the main character either, but it helps a lot to the main character.
Exactly.
It's
like she's like a sidekick.
The voice of wisdom.
Exactly.
But doesn't like to be the main character.
Exactly. And you haven't seen Dune.
No.
But the best example that I could think about was the Bene Gesserit. They're like almost like nuns in Dune, but they're like crazy, intuitive, and spiritual in a way too. So it's kind of like an interesting mix between sage and mystic, but they're very involved in power and decision making and like playing chess almost. And so they're like that powerful feminine force in war. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like, I think you're describing the character really well. Because I can't fully, it's like, in movies at least, it's that character that is like super mystic and interesting, but has a lot of power just because of their knowledge. It's like they're so wise that they have power because of that. But at the same time, it's very laid back.
Yeah, they're cool. They're like, I don't know, they're kind of to the side. But still... they probably are the ones that make all the decisions
in the back,
But an interesting contrast to that, which is a more like, I would say, subdued version of a sage is Oprah. Because she is a sage, but she has mother in her. She's very warm and inviting, and she really makes you feel comfortable, but she is very intellectual and very knowledgeable. And yeah, so I would say she's a good example of a warm sage. Because in my head, at least, sage women are cold in my head.
Yeah.
So that was it. These are all of the 7 archetypes.
Wow, it's really interesting. And whenever you were talking about each one of them, I was trying to think like people in my life and also compare it to myself. But I don't know, like now that you said all of the archetypes.
Wait, hold on.
What?
Because this is the second part.
Oh,
that's a surprise. I just want to make sure I say this before you say anything so that you don't tell me stuff that I'm not supposed to know. I'll guess
mine,
your top 3, and you. So we'll do this.
Okay.
First round is you.
We do this.
Second round is me. I show what I think you are, and you show what you think you are.
Okay.
And then second round, you'll show what you think I am, and I'll show what I think I am.
Okay. So first round is me.
Yes.
Okay, so what we're gonna put them aside and then show them
the 3.
Ooh.
And if you're listening to this, feel free to pause the episode and guess which ones we are.
I
guess
would love to see what you would guess.
Let us know in the comments what you think we are.
Yeah, because it's like we show our personalities here, so it would be interesting to see how people see ourselves too. Okay, wait.
Okay.
I think this is easy for me now that I have to do that. At least for myself. Oh, yeah.
What? You already have them?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
I mean, yeah. I feel drawn to them. Nah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Nah.
Okay, wait, hold on. Now I'm stressed.
I'm so curious to see which ones you're gonna have.
Oh my God. Okay.
You have them?
I have them. I don't know how correct I am. But...
Okay, wait. Let me show the 3. Wait, don't see. Let me show the 3 emojis.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
We'll do it together. 1, 2,
2,
3. I missed one.
Which one is you? Oh, okay.
The Mystic.
The Mystic? Wait, let me see the Mystic again.
Because the reason why I thought the Mystic for you is because you're very independent. And
okay. Keep going.
I feel also very introverted, and you like to spend time alone and figure your inner self out.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought. But I also thought Maiden. The reason why I didn't go full Maiden, though, is because I feel you're very, not to call Maidens immature, but I feel you're very mature.
Right. But to be fair, that would have been my 4th choice.
The Mystic?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first one, the Lover. I've talked too much about this, you know. I don't need to.
This is me.
I don't need to explain this beyond that.
Just watch the Valentine's episode.
Yeah, that will be your answer. The Huntress, because
that's you for sure.
Yeah, I feel like whenever I've been like this since I was like very young. It's like when I want this, and it's that's it. Sometimes when I don't know it, it's like a completely different story. But when I know something, I know what I want and I go for it. And then for the Maiden, I didn't think about it much in terms of maturity. I was thinking more about it because sometimes I'm just like, I'm very responsible, but
carefree.
I sometimes I'm just like, let's go with the flow and be
like no responsibility.
Yeah, I'm responsible, but I don't care much about responsibility.
Responsibility.
So that's why I went with it.
I see that. I can totally see it. If I didn't choose the Mystic, I would have chosen the Maiden.
Okay, so we were like really close.
So I would say definitely your top 2 then are the Lover and the Huntress.
Yeah. But also I like what you said about the Mystic. It's like I'm very introverted. I love being with myself. I like connecting with myself.
And
so
you're intuitive too. You're very intuitive.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Like you connect with your body a lot.
Yeah, that's true. I love this game.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Now my turn.
Now I feel the pressure. Okay.
Imagine you get 0 right.
Yeah. Maybe. Okay, I have 1 for sure.
Me too.
I feel the pressure now that I'm on the other side. Okay, wait. You have them already?
I have my last one. I'm in between.
Okay, me too. I have 2. Okay, I have these 2.
Okay, wait. Okay, I think I got it.
Wait.
I think I got it.
Girl, I'm so nervous about the 3rd one. Wait. I'm like, I feel that you see the shadows.
No, I'm looking at your eyes. I'm really not looking.
I feel that you're gonna see the reflection.
I'm looking at your eyes, girl. Okay, you ready?
Wait, let me take a look one more time to see. I'm nervous. What if I don't get them right?
What if you get all of them right? 1, 2, 3. You got all of them!
Guys, I won.
You won!
Didn't know this was a game, but I won.
You won.
Yeah, I knew for sure the Bother.
Yes, that's the one that I was like,
I was like, okay, yeah, I got it.
Yes.
This is you. As soon as you were like talking about it, I was like, this is so you. Because you're like helping other people so much and you really care about other people. So I was like, the mother, that's you.
I was always considered like in high school, the mother of the group. Like I always had everything prepared. Like I always had extra paper if anyone needed paper.
True.
Like and you know that little
I was gonna say that it's like even when you used to go to the office, it's like, hey Alexa, do you have this? And she's like, yeah, this is like my emergency bag. It's like, whoa.
Yeah,
that's so funny. Mystic, you're very intuitive and spiritual too, so it's like this is so you. So
I feel more now more than ever Mystic.
Now more,
I identify with.
Yeah, so these were the 2 I had, like for sure. Then I was in between. I don't know where was I? Okay, I was in between.
I was also on the fence with this one.
Oh really?
That was the last one that I was like,
Because also like the Huntress, I feel like you also really know what you know what you want most of the time. So it's like you just go for it and you are very strong and you have a purpose like really clear. So that's you. So that's why I picked it. But I was in between that but I'm glad I picked this one. Yeah. Because I was also in between the Maiden and the Queen.
Maiden was definitely one of the top ones for me when I was in high school. I was very carefree, no responsibility. My needs were met at all times. And I was very naive. And so I had a lot of, I would say, dark energies take advantage of that.
Yes.
So ever since then, I feel like I've gone definitely from the Maiden to the Huntress as to like, okay, I need to have, I feel like I've switched from going with the flow to having more of a, I still go with the flow, but to having more of a purpose and a drive and a, this is who I am. I'm going to stand up for myself.
Yeah. And also like thinking not so much from the heart only, but heart and mind.
Yeah.
Too.
Yes. Yes.
I'm so happy I had them all right.
I should have gone with it. And I felt the Maiden. Damn. Well, we did a good job.
Great job.
I honestly also kind of thought about the Queen for you.
Really?
Because I feel
the Queen is so not like...
The reason why it wasn't like top consideration, but as I was researching it, the Queen I think relates to you in terms of finer things in life. And I feel like you're more a queen than, I don't know if more a queen than a mother, because you also have a lot of mother instincts in you. But I feel like you're more like that center of the family queen. I don't know, like you'll have like a big house with a bunch of kids that like
yes, I've told you.
Yes.
I said I want a house with 10 bedrooms. Why? I don't know. I want it.
But I don't know. It seems like, I feel like from the outside too, people could say that your life looks very put together.
Okay.
So that's why I thought of Queen.
Yeah. It's like a smaller percentage.
Yeah, smaller percentage. Yeah, for sure.
In me, but.
Yes.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I love this game.
Were you going to ask me questions before?
It was going to be like, who do you think you are? And who do you think I am?
Yeah.
Because it's like what you were saying, that everyone has a little bit of this, but in bigger or smaller percentages. And as you were talking about them, I would be like, okay, this is me. This is not so much me. This is like a completely I relate to this one versus the other one. I would say like the Sage. It's the one that I feel less related to.
Okay.
The Sage for some reason. But I don't know. But if I have to take one out, it would be the Sage.
Okay. Yeah, for you.
What would it be for you?
Me, if I had to take one out, because there's aspects of the Sage where I also really like knowledge, and I like to read, and I like to be intellectual sometimes. So there's aspects of the Sage that I relate to, but like a warm Sage.
A warm,
not a cold Sage.
Yeah, for some reason this feels like a bad character in the movie. You know, for some reason to me.
Okay, I see.
But I can see like the positive side of it.
Yeah.
Too.
So I would say the main takeaway from, and also another reason why I wanted to print this is so that you could keep it and refer to it whenever you want.
Guys, this was like a complete surprise. I had no idea we were doing this. Like, of course I knew the topic, but you know a lot more than me in this. So it's like, okay, you lead this conversation and I'm like, someone else like listening to it. And now that you brought up the cards, I was like, okay, this is like cool. I was not expecting this.
Honestly, I was thinking we could probably like sell these cards.
People, if you're interested, just let us know.
If you're interested, let us know. We'll maybe sell these.
Yeah.
But okay, so what I was going to say for the takeaways is to see where you are for our listeners. See where you are today. Like there's quizzes also online that you can do to see which archetype that you are. But I would just suggest just doing just sit with it and think about it for yourself. See who and what you relate to the most. And if there's one that seems very attractive to you, but you feel like you're not that person, don't be afraid to channel that energy. It's like sometimes we all need to channel the Queen, you know?
Yeah, it's like that
we all need to channel the
ego.
lover sometimes, you know? So if, for example, you're a sage and you feel like you're a little bit too cold and your love life is maybe not great, don't be afraid to channel the lover.
Yeah, it's like that alter ego that sometimes that you, when you have to, I don't know, present your work and things like that, and you don't feel that confident, it's like just act as if you are, and then just channel that energy.
I've been working, and for me, what has helped me is like imagining people that I know that have that type of energy, and it's easier for me to kind of embrace it and be like, okay, not copying the person, of course not, but
feeling inspired
by their energy and their aura and their way of being. It's like, oh, okay, I can be more like this, actually. I don't have to be so rigid. Maybe today I can be a little bit more flexible.
Yeah, or when you channel that archetype, let's call it like that, when you channel it, just ask yourself, like, what would this archetype do? And then just by the answer, just act that way.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
Yay.
Really interested in this topic.
So we hope you guys liked it. Let us know in the comments which archetype you relate to the most, or maybe your friends. Think about your friends too, guys.
Yes.
I have many friends that I'm like, yeah, she's definitely this and that.
This you know what could be cool? Tag their friends with the emoji. It's like,
oh yeah,
that could be a
tag
cool
your
game.
friends. Tag your friends and
using the emoji that you think it's like their most prominent archetype.
Yeah, that would be cool. I love it.
That could be cool. The only way this podcast grows is if you share our content and subscribe.
You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. At As You Are Pod.
And see you next Wednesday.
Love you. Bye.